So, Laura, we've all worked for that boss that will just not delegate. Why are there so many managers that just keep holding on and why won't they delegate?
You think about it, and we all start our careers as more individual contributors. And so we're taught to do our job and do it well. And we take control of that and we get really good at that. And then all of a sudden, we're promoted into management. Most of us don't get the training that we should get in order to learn how to manage and what to focus on and how to delegate and all of that. So naturally, the tendency is to keep your hands in everything and to keep doing everything. And so some of it is just a habit kind of thing. They've always done it. It feels too awkward to stop doing it, and they don't really get taught how to do that. Some of it, on the other hand, can be trust issues. Sometimes, it's I don't trust somebody's going to do it. I don't trust they're going to do it as well as I did it. Often it can be just a control thing. It's like, I want to keep control of everything. It makes me feel more powerful. It makes me have more of the edge on things. And so there's different reasons for sure that people do end up holding on to things and not delegating as managers. But the good news is everyone can learn to delegate.
All right, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. But I also now understand that if you're not operating from grit, you could never be a delegator.
You are absolutely right. You think about the grit model and you think about when someone has clarity on their truth, they know what's important to them, they have their priorities, they align to that through integrity, so they're focused on the right things. They're respecting themselves and others, so they respect that here's what they need to be working on, here's what other people need to be working on their team. Then they're willing, they're generous. They want to actually help other people by giving them things to do so that they can learn and grow. But they also realize that they have to do that to keep the natural flow of things going and to make sure that everything does get done properly. So with the model of grit, when managers, leaders operate in that way, then delegation kind of takes care of itself. Yes.
That's the point I was trying to make. So what steps can a leader take to more effectively delegate?
The first step is going back to knowing why you're delegating and understanding that there's definitely a leadership component to it. There's a management component to it. So the leadership side of it is to make sure that we're giving people an opportunity to learn, to grow, to expand, to become everything that they're meant to be. From the management side of it, it's to make sure that we're covering all the bases. We're not doing tasks as a higher paid leader or manager that someone else should be doing. So that's the management side of it. And with delegation, we've got to first look at the why and be clear with that. And then it's a matter of going, okay, so here's a task and here's a person and I want to delegate. I look at the person and I say, what is their level of ability and what is their level of willingness to do this? Those are two core pieces that you can look at. So if somebody has a high level of willingness to do it, but they don't have the ability to do it, you can't really delegate to them. Same thing if somebody had a high level of ability to do it, but they weren't really willing to do it, then they're not ready to be delegated to. And that's a really important thing to consider for leaders and managers, because what we tend to do is we think, I just got to get this stuff off my plate. And so I need to learn to delegate. And then we just think about how we're going to get it off our plate and to that person, no matter what. There's kind of a step-by-step process that we have to look at, and we look at their ability and willingness. And we look at if they're able and willing, they're ready to be delegated to. If they're not at that level, there's other things they need. They need coaching, they need supporting, they need training. Looking at the delegation piece, they've got to be willing and able, at least to some degree. Sure, they can use a little coaching and a little help along the way, but they've got to be at least at that level. Once they're at that level, then it's a lot easier to be able to delegate to them.
Well, it strikes me that even a tool like DISC can be helpful here because everyone has different styles of how they would do the work or how you would delegate to them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You think about your own DISC style, dominance, influence, steadiness, conscientiousness, and you think about how am I and what is my style when it comes to delegating. For example, if I'm a high D, I might just be like, do it, kind of thing. And if I'm an S, steadiness, I might be more apt to go, and let's look at how it's going to affect this and go about it much more differently. That's okay as long as we understand who we're delegating to and we adjust appropriately. One of the biggest mistakes managers make is to not adjust appropriately. And so if you think about the other person and you think about what's their style, dominance, influence, steadiness, conscientiousness, what pace do they need me to talk to them? Are they more concerned with people or are they more concerned with things? And of course, our DISC tool helps us with that. But realizing their DISC style can help with how we go about delegating that task to them.